And I didn't say anything about it, but I'm gonna say something about it now. She was really shady to me.
Hey everyone, it's Mira Mangled.
And I'm KYLIE SONIQUE Love.
And welcome to another Mangled morning. Oh, we forgot to do the cups.
Oh.
And cheers.
Cheers.
KYLIE SONIQUE Love, how are you doing today?
I'm good, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm so excited you're here. I wore my little pink Power Ranger for you.
It's Morphin time, bitch.
Oh, bitch, yes it
Always.
is. Oh.
I have a pink Power Ranger tattoo on my arm. Let me slide my glove down so you can see it.
Love it.
So I'm always, there.
Up here serving Amy Jo Johnson realness.
You know what? My favorite Power Ranger actually is the Yellow Ranger.
Oh.
But I figured the pink one would show up better on my arm. So
That's true, yeah.
I got the Pink Ranger.
So today we are going to be talking about KYLIE's journey on season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes. Oh my God. I might need to
get in the time machine,
honey.
Yeah. Now, before we get started, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like the video, and join the Patreon where you can see all kinds of additional content you can't see on YouTube.
Or content.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let's get in your time machine. Let's go back.
Okay.
Let's talk about this. So, something I just heard you say recently was that you originally were going to be part of season 1.
Yeah.
What happened with that?
Okay, so what ended up happening is when they were casting for RuPaul's Drag Race season 1, they were Duran Casting was going around the country, going to different clubs and stuff, and they came in Atlanta and they gave me their card and they said, oh, RuPaul's doing this new show and we would love for you to be on it. And I auditioned, and it's really crazy too because a lot of people don't realize this, but they knew during casting that I identify as trans. And although I was an alternate for season 1, they told me, if we do a season 2, we will definitely cast you for season 2. And I was like, okay.
Well, they did it though.
And they sure did. Yeah. I remember too when they called me for season 2, and I first turned them down because I was starting the beginning stages of my transition. Long story short, I got on season 2.
So what made you change your mind?
They basically talked me into it. I first said no because getting ready was such a long process of like paperwork and video and all this stuff. And this was before like how fast everything is now. You can just do it through your smartphone or whatever. I was like at Kinko's every other day, and it costs a lot of money. And when you're on a drag queen salary, like going to Kinko's gets pretty expensive. And I was just like so exhausted from that. And I was like, well, why can't you just use what I have from before? And they were like, just make us just a quick video just to update us of what's going on. And I did. I was a little stubborn because I'm a Taurus. And
I am too. When is your birthday?
Are you May 2nd?
I'm the 25th of April.
Oh, okay.
So we're really close.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I ended up doing it and they brought me in. And it's so crazy too because I remember when I auditioned for season 1, my drag mother at the time, her name is the Goddess Raven. She was from Atlanta, like this huge queen. If you look on YouTube, there is a documentary called Drag Time that was filmed for HBO. And they do an Atlanta part toward the end of it, and she's featured on that. But she was such a great business person in the drag world. And before there was a MySpace and an Instagram and all that stuff, like she knew how to market herself and she knew how to brand herself. And she basically taught me how to market myself. And that's how I got my heel in the door with Drag Race. Literally what I ended up doing is I took her advice, and what she would do is she would send one of her old heels with like a letter and a DVD or a cassette of a collage of her like performances or whatever, and says, I'm just trying to get my heel in the door. And she would send it to different clubs around the country, and that's how she would get booked. And that's basically what I did with my audition for Drag Race. Is I sent them a shoebox with one of my heels in it, all the paperwork, I sprayed it and doused it in my perfume, and I wrote a little note that says, hi, this is Sonique. I just want to get my heel in the door, and I kissed it in an XO. And they, the people at casting were like, oh, yours was like the most unforgettable like audition.
Yeah, you have a physical like memorabilia item from it.
they remembered my audition, and I'm just so grateful that I took that advice and I used it, because when they cast for season 2, they remembered me because of that. One of the casting people were like, oh yeah, I went to school at UGA, and that's kind of where I got my start, was in Athens, Georgia, when I first got started. And she remembered going to the little gay disco there and seeing me perform. Yeah, that's so wild. It's so crazy. It's such a small world.
You mentioned in translation recently that you talked in your confessionals at length about transitioning, and that was something that you were going to be doing, right?
I definitely mentioned during my confessionals on season 2 of Drag Race about how I identified, and like basically what I wanted to do is, because transition is so expensive, on top of doing drag is like so expensive too. And I needed and wanted to do both. And I just figured $25,000 would be a great...
It's a good start.
A good start to start my transition. But it didn't really work out that way. You know, I was in 9th place. But I've been a showgirl my whole life. And I just kept with it. And I tried to not let my placement on Drag Race define who I am, not only as a person, but as a performer. And nobody knew like what Drag Race was gonna do. A lot of pageant queens were like at like the top. Like that's what you wanted to aspire to be more like. RuPaul status was almost untouchable. So I remember a lot of people that were huge in the drag world that kind of frowned upon RuPaul's Drag Race because it was so mainstream and it wasn't exactly like how it is. But you know, like TV is a different world. Like people have to understand that like that in itself is a springboard that opens up doors for film and music and other opportunities to be on television and to be seen. And that just wasn't like a thing that drag queens were used to having.
So you get there, and well, first of all, you mentioned, you know, you came in 9th and your status going out. Like, we talk about this on the channel all the time. It should have been the first double psych ever, because you guys were, I mean, it was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
No, it was crazy. Like, honestly, I remember that morning waking up, just something did not feel right. And I've talked to a lot of girls on their elimination day, and they all say almost the same thing. Like, they could just feel it. They just knew that they were going to get sent home, no matter what happened. But I still tried to give it my all. RuPaul actually got up and left after mine and Morgan's lip sync. We were just kind of like looking at each other like, what the f is going on? Like, everyone was like wondering what was happening.
So had that never happened before?
No, that had not happened ever. Like, Ru was usually just there and she says it. But I feel that maybe they were having a hard time deciding like who they were going to send home, or RuPaul had to pee really bad.
I think I would much rather envision the other.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, I'm really thinking that they were like, okay, who do we keep? But I feel like me and Morgan like both killed that fucking lip sync. And she is undeniably like a fierce performer. But so am I. You know, and there were so many moments in my life where I was just like, to be sent home for doing something that, one, you're known like for doing really good, and two,
Lady Gaga. Or no.
Okay, hold on. We'll get to Lady Gaga. But no, I meant like the lip sync part and tumbling and stuff like that. And that's kind of like what made me unique in the drag world. I feel like I had a unique way of doing it when I performed.
You're literally the real life Catwoman. Like, you are Michelle Pfeiffer when you're performing. It is like, you, I mean, first of all, you already look like a superhero because of your body, your perfection. But then on top of that, like, yeah, you move like a superhero or supervillain.
Okay. Well, you know what? Catwoman isn't quite a villain, she's like she's like in
anti-hero.
And that's so me. I'm so anti-hero.
Well, those characters are usually more relatable. You know.
Yeah. I have Catwoman tattooed on my arm too.
I have a shirt I'm going to show you that you're going to die.
Oh yeah.
Of that Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman. I love it.
I'm obsessed with Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman.
I think what's really funny too is that it's all starting to make more sense because we have a lot of interests in common in terms of like inspirations for drag. Would you say, I mean, obviously like Power Rangers, superheroes, they're like your inspirations for drag?
Yeah, and what's so crazy to me about it, I know it's so weird when I talk about this, like with the Yellow Power Ranger, the original series was shot in Japan and the Yellow Ranger was actually a boy character, which was a prince. But they used the footage from the fighting scenes when they were in their costumes in the American version. So when Trini, the Yellow Ranger, would morph, it would be a boy body basically. For somebody like myself growing up, I didn't really have any like people to look up to. So you just kind of, your imagination just works and it's like, what would it be like to like, so she basically went from like this female to like this male to get her ass. And I just always envisioned myself being able to like put on this costume and changing into, you know, something more powerful and maybe even a different sex, so to speak, or whatever. You know, a little country kid from a small town in Georgia, just trying to make life make sense. I know that might sound a little weird, but I really feel like that's why I had such a strong connection to the Yellow Power Ranger character.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's something I wouldn't have thought of. But yeah, it is funny because there are certain shots from what even as a little kid, I remember being like,
the Yellow Ranger has a bulge.
That's a man, right?
That's a man, Maury.
She morphed right into a man.
She sure did. Well, and I did the opposite.
All right, there you go. Okay, so let's talk about you walking in. First of all, how lucky is it that you weren't on season 1 and you were on season 2? Because it's basically what season 2 was is still what the show is today. The workroom, the stage, it's all still the same.
Oh yeah, like I feel like season 1 was kind of like an idea,
a test season, like a pilot.
It was definitely a pilot. So season 2 to me feels like the first formula of Drag Race.
They used to call season 1 the lost season. You know, back when, like, because they didn't air it for years. I think after season 4, like when season 4 hit, is when they stopped airing season 1.
I mean, it's tough. It's like playing an Atari versus playing a PlayStation.
Exactly. Yeah.
In a way,
it's not. It doesn't feel anything like the format. What were your thoughts walking into the workroom?
I just remember woke up super early that morning and getting painted in hotel lighting, which is never fun to do.
Did that today.
I'd never filmed for TV in drag ever. I felt good that day. I felt beautiful that day. But when I watch it, I'm like, oh my God. Like for me, I would have changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I did. That was the first time I wore hip pads. I remember going on to Drag Race. Yes, I remember going on to Drag Race. I was like, oh my God, like I have to be the most draggiest drag queen ever. I'm gonna have to start wearing lashes. I'm gonna wear hip pads. I wasn't even wearing lashes then.
Damn.
Like, and you might not think I have on lashes right now, but I have individual mink lashes on right now, so I can't put falsies over them, which is kind of killing because I really want to wear a
big old lash
for you, but you know I'm gonna be Miss right now, and
you'll always look like that next to me. I'm like a clown compared to
you're absolutely gorgeous, and I figured you would be too. I'm like, literally, the camera doesn't lie. You're really, really beautiful.
No, like, first of all, I told you this prior to filming, but I drank for the first time in months with my good gal pal Scarlett and Miss Heidi in Closet, and my skin. Like putting on the foundation today, you know, like when your skin is just dried out and dead. It was like coming up. It was disgusting.
I just remember, I felt like I looked like a wood carving. When I was about as soft as this psycho bitch. Let's be for real. But estrogen does wonders. Testosterone blockers does wonders. And growing in general. I just feel like when I look at myself there, it's kind of like I've peeked in at a caterpillar getting ready to turn into a butterfly. Probably one of the most uncomfortable moments in someone's transition is that moment right before you start. And that's all documented for television.
Forever.
And so it's kind of odd for me to watch it.
So episode 1 is the Gone with Wind challenge. Okay, first of all, they did y'all dirty with that silly photo shoot.
Okay.
You were fine, but some people really got...
Listen about that photo shoot. Okay, listen. I absolutely love my journey and I am appreciative of it. They only showed me for like a split second. I think I'm like sliding down the cannon or whatever, and then they click it. And then I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, that's really the best picture you found of me? Like, really? But I really feel like they have kind of already, it is a TV show. They have people running around trying to help move a story around.
Right.
That's what
you
it is.
had no story that episode, so they didn't
really no story there. I'm super quiet sometimes. I've learned to be a little bit more open and ambitious, is the word, when I come into a room. And I think that's just comes with like being more comfortable with myself.
Yeah, for sure.
But I was definitely confident in performing in drag. But as far as like coming into a room and, you know, cameras everywhere and you're about to get to meet RuPaul. And luckily Nicole Paige Brooks was there. It made it a little bit easier for me, a face I recognized. There were names in the room that I had recognized but had never met before.
Who did you know?
I knew of Pandora because her and I both auditioned for season 1. And we kind of like, I remember it was during MySpace days and we would like kind of message each other and be like, hey, did you get another call or whatever? And we both didn't. And I think she was like pretty close into being on season 1 as well. So was Nicole Paige Brooks. Yeah. And Nicole told people when I got casted for season 2 that I was going to be on season 2. And I was so over it because I kind of wanted it to be a surprise. Yeah. I kind of wanted to just hide.
Now like, you can't be talking about any of that.
No. Well, no, we wasn't supposed to talk about it then either. And I just remember like having such a
anxiety from
anxiety. They were like, you can't even tell your mama. Like, wait, what? I can't tell my mom I'm leaving
to you're gonna disappear for a month?
Airplane for the second time in my life to California.
That was only the second time you ever flew?
That was the second time I'd ever been on an airplane.
Wow.
Yeah. But it was so crazy. Like when I got off the airplane and I got out of the airport, I just remember thinking to myself, oh my God, like I just felt it. Like this is where I need to be. This is where I'm supposed to be. So I promised myself, no matter what happens on the show, I'm packing on my shit and I'm moving to California.
How long after the show, after filming, did you move to?
First of all, I was the first girl from RuPaul's Drag Race to relocate to California. So I didn't think after me was Pandora.
It's funny because I don't even when I remember that you're from Atlanta, like I feel like you are just like that classic LA.
Yeah, everyone calls me a Cali girl, and I'm like, bitch, I'm from the country, okay? Like I was raised on grits and bacon, honey, and I mean, I'm a Georgia girl.
But you don't want it. You love it here.
I do love it here, but I've learned to also really appreciate like my Georgia-ness, my Georgia roots and all that stuff. There are things that I wanted to try to mask when I first moved here, you know, coming to LA, you know, it's always like the hottest people from different parts of the country moves to LA, you know, so then there's like all these like hot people in LA, and sometimes you get like the pretentious and the stuck up people, and people that don't even want to know who you are. They're like, so what do you do?
Yeah.
I hate that. Like literally I cannot roll my eyes hard enough when people are like, before they even try to get to know you, they're like, so what do you do? I remember first coming to LA, like trying to go into the clubs, like Mickey's and stuff. People would just like push, like walk on top of you and push you. And, you know, being a girl in a club, in a gay club for the most part, men don't even look at you twice like that. But when you're a queen, they want to worship. I remember someone being absolutely rude to me coming out of the Abbey when I first moved to LA. And somebody came from behind them, like, oh my God, you're Sonique from Drag Race. And I was like, yeah. And then that person was like, oh my God, you're from Drag Race? Oh my God, can I have a picture? And I was like,
are you serious?
like, what the?
Right.
You know, like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't want you to, like, be nice to me because you think that I'm, like, famous or whatever the case. Like, I want it to be a genuine connection. Like, if you really want me to get out of your way and you want to be that kind of person to me, that's honest. Be that way to me. I'd rather see who you really are than you try to pretend to like who you think I am or whatever.
Right. Just because I'm famous.
Yeah.
Had you met RuPaul before?
I actually have met RuPaul before. RuPaul came to Atlanta to promote her movie Star Booty. I have been a huge RuPaul fan. RuPaul is definitely one of the people that inspired me. Like when I didn't see trans people on TV, RuPaul being on TV was somebody who I kind of seen myself through in a way. And I met him there. I remember before the movie started, I was in the concession area. I was gonna go grab something to eat or whatever really quick before the movie started. And all of a sudden I hear, it's completely empty in the concession area. And then I see RuPaul coming in this purple dress and big white afro wig. And someone's like, has a video camera and they're like asking questions really quick. And then she goes into the theater and I'm like, oh my God. Like that was RuPaul, you know, like gagging. And then after they like answer questions or whatever, but they were signing DVDs. And I remember I asked if I could take a picture and Ru had said to me, she said, I totally would, but like if I take a picture with you, everyone in this room is going to want to take a picture with me and I will never get out of here. But I told her I did drag and I was out of drag at that point. And I told her I did drag and she was asking me like where should she go to watch a show while she's in town. And I gave her a couple of places. I told her my drag name and it's so crazy. Like a year and a half, maybe 2 years later, I end up on a TV show. It was so surreal, like her coming in the workroom that day, and it was just kind of like a full circle moment that day for me. You should trust the universe that you are always where you need to be and that you are strong enough to be there. And there's a reason why, and perception is everything. Yeah. Although I didn't get that picture with RuPaul, although my friend Russ Youngblood did snap a picture of me talking to her. Nice. I don't know where that picture is, but Russ, if you're out there,
whenever I met, the same thing happened to me when I met Andy Cohen. I met Andy Cohen out at a bar once and I was talking to him and I was like, can I get a picture with you? He goes, you know, if I take a picture with you, I'll have to do it with everyone. And we, you know, you heard some of my drug antics stories. Literally what I did was, you'll be all right, and then took a picture.
Oh, wow. Hey, sometimes it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Right. Well, you know? I mean, you know, like also like, you're out at a bar, like don't. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like,
girl.
You should just drink at home.
You can either pose for this photo or look crazy in this photo. So
right.
But I will say this: if you're out in the club or wherever in public, and you want a picture with somebody who you think is famous, or you just want a picture with them, have your flash on, have your camera ready before you even ask. The faster you do it and get it over with, promise you, the better your experience will be with the person, because there is nothing more annoying. You having to put your passcode in and delete photos and get it ready and then find somebody to take the picture. Bitch, have your together. Listen, I'm never too proud to not take a photo with anyone. Like I told you earlier, one day they're gonna stop asking for photos. I don't mind taking a photo with you, but if it's gonna be a bit of an inconvenience, try to make it less of an inconvenience and have your together, like for real.
I mean, that's how I met you. I met you at, I think it was the second DragCon ever.
Oh, really?
So it was many years ago. You told me you were on your way to a panel, but I was like, can I get a picture real fast? And
did I get it?
Yeah, and you were lovely.
Oh.
Yeah, you were very lovely. And obviously, I mean,
probably because there was nobody in my line.
I think you were on a way to a panel though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what you told me at least.
I could be lying.
right.
I was gonna go like crash a panel.
But yeah, not everyone was as nice or as lovely, and also you doing, like, I had somebody, which I told this story in a video about like worst experiences with queens, but there was somebody who first said no and then gave me a list of reasons why not, you know, and which is like, if you're gonna say no, like just keep pumping and go.
Yeah, girl.
And then she was like, well, all right, let's just do it, but you have to make it really fast. And then started like barking orders at me. And then, but she had said no, so I had already put my camera away. I wasn't, you know.
Yeah,
so then it took longer because then she had changed. You know, it was a weird experience.
Yeah. Say what you mean to me when you say. If you say no, just go. But don't let me have it because you can't handle it.
Right. Good old meet me on first.
Oh, was that her? Bitch. And I'll say that right here. I hope she's watching. She is the bitch.
It was just so, it was such a.
She really is.
It was the weirdest interaction ever.
No, she's awkward. Like I really, honestly, when she was on her season 3, I was like, you know what? I was rooting for her because I know that she's a fierce queen. I met her in New York. I thought she was super cool there. Then when she got on All Stars, I really felt like she did get kind of the bad end of the stick. I felt like she was doing good, and you know, just the way she was trying and she was killing it, and I just always remembered that, and I felt like, you know, I didn't get the recognition that I wanted on season 2, so I know how it feels to like be sent home
let down with your experience.
Yeah, in a sense. So I totally related to that. And she just, one of those people, never followed me back on Instagram. Like, was just so weird to me every time. And I even like drove her ass around in my car when she came to LA, and she smelled horrible. And I didn't say anything about it, but I'm going to say something about it now. She was really shady to me. She was really shady. I actually used to really live for her. And I still think she's a fabulous queen. I just think that she let that negativity of, I don't know.
I think what's interesting is
it's sad.
This came into a weird point that I didn't intend to go into, but I think it is one of those things where enough people, it's almost like there's so many stories. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not just you, it's not just me. It's just,
and this isn't trying to bash her. These are experiences that we had.
And it changed. Like I would never go up to her again. So I guess if that's what she wanted, that she accomplished.
Yeah.
That shows you've done something.
Okay.
KYLIE, thank you so much for joining us today, and we are so glad you got to see us.
Boom. Okay. Bye.